What's up, everybody? This episode is sponsored by Loco Bounce. Loco Bounce is a bouncy house rental business that is local here in Bellefontaine, Ohio, and surrounding areas. Loco Bounce is founded by Timmy Arvin and also our lovely guest, Dalton Rockhold. And we just wanted to give a specific shout out to them today. They do anything from slides to bouncy houses to several other services. And if you need the party, they bring the party to you. If you need to get a hold of anybody at Loco Bounce for services, please call 937-210-7811. Enjoy this episode.
Middle of the field, and he is sacked. And holds.
Bart got to him, the nose guard.
What's up, everybody? I'm Cole B-Bart.
I'm Irvin Godinez.
And we have a special guest here today. My buddy, longtime friend, Dalton Rockhold. Dalton went to Ben Logan High School and graduated in 2019 with me. He was a three-sport athlete in high school: football, basketball, track, and he also played baseball for 2 years.
Yes, sir.
4-year letter in football, 4-year letter in basketball, several accolades as a high school athlete, and participated in FFA, correct? Dalton also went to Findlay University, played football all 4 years, played 3 out of the 4 years, correct?
Yep.
And was third team All GMAC 2022, Academic All District 2022, and graduated with a bachelor's degree in
Business administration with the emphasis on management, and then I tacked on a marketing minor as well.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But welcome on, Dalton Rockhold.
Yeah, appreciate it, y'all.
So, we just kind of want to get the ball rolling. Take us through, your journey through athletics. And, obviously I know we just kind of want to catch Irv up. Take me through your journey of athletics and also your transition from Ridgemont to Ben Logan.
Yeah. So I started out sports. I came from an athletic family. Mom and dad, they played sports all through high school as well. Just growing up, the first sport I started was T-ball. That was the first sport I could really play. And then in third grade, that was when I was able to finally play tackle football. So third grade, I was still at Ridgemont. So I played, tackle football third and fourth grade. And then rolling into fifth grade, parents decided, our kids got a chance at, going playing some college football or college softball as well. And so then they decided us to make that switch over to Ben Logan. Just because Ridgemont, it was a nice school and everything, but it did not have the athletic department that we really needed to see us strive.
Yeah. So
we made the switch over to Ben Logan in fifth grade. And then actually my first friend was you. Coming in, in fifth grade, that summer football, there was that first kid came up, Cole B-Bar, was like, "Hey, what's up, man? You know what I mean? Hey, I'm Cole B-Bar. Let's keep friends." So I was like, all right, this dude, I was like, let's do it. Back in the day, he was a little chubby guy, but it was awesome. And then, so I started out in fifth grade, I was running the ball, and then in sixth grade, I was running the ball again, and you had to be under a certain weight.
Right, yeah.
And so you had to be 120 pounds to carry the football, or you had a big old X on the back of your helmet.
Yeah.
Well, there was a week before weigh-ins, I stepped on the scales, and I was a little overweight. And so then the coach and my dad sat down and had a talk and was like, "Hey, you guys need to figure it out. We need Dalton to run the football this year."
Yeah.
So dad's like, "All right, we're putting you on a diet or whatever." And so
strictly lettuce.
Yeah, it was not a diet. I think he basically just starved me. I had to I had to spit in a bottle. I wasn't allowed to swallow my saliva. 48 hours before weigh-ins, he gave me X-Lax. And so then so he made sure I emptied out the tank. It was on a Saturday morning. That Friday night, we went to a high school football game, and of course, we were always down in the pit screwing around, playing football and stuff. And I went up there. I said, "Hey, can I get a Gatorade?" He's like, "No, you can have a couple drinks of water."
A couple of drinks of water.
Yeah. I said, "All right, whatever." And then that Saturday morning came around. On the way there, I had to wear a winter coat and sweatpants, and I was wrapped in a blanket. And then we get to the weigh-ins, and like B-Bar and a couple of my teammates, we had to go for a run. And so like we were like ran around like the complex to try to lose.
Urbana is where it used to be at. Yeah.
And so then I got on there, and I was like the only kid that had to like strip down to my underwear to weigh in. So I was like embarrassed at the time. I get there, I step on the scale. Scale said 118. I made it under 2 pounds. I was like, let's go. Everyone was fired up. And then we had a scrimmage after that. And the coach was like, yeah, you're not playing. Like, not a chance, because I was so just dehydrated and I had like nothing left in my system. So I sat out because, I mean, I was
went and got everything from the concession stand.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely loaded up. So, and then luckily I was able to run the ball for that season, so we were all good with there. And then, you know, middle school, that kind of went away. So I still played running back all through middle school. And then going in my 8th grade year, they tried me at linebacker. They said I was too dumb to play linebacker, so I switched to defensive line, and then the rest was history from there. Going into my freshman year, really didn't play much. I just played some special teams, and then my sophomore year, going into my sophomore year, that winter workouts, I got with like your older brother, and I got with some of the other big dog seniors, and I was like, all right, like let's do this thing. They kind of took me on the wing, and then I absolutely blew up. From my freshman year to my sophomore year, I mean, we were just pumping irons throughout the summer. And then my sophomore year, I was able to start both ways. I started at tackle and then DN. And then I played all through there, had a hell of a high school career. And then played baseball first 2 years. And then Coach Fay, our high school football coach, was like, hey, you know, you got a chance to play college football. So we kind of sat down and made a business decision and was like, all right, let's switch to track. You know, I love playing baseball, played it my whole life, but baseball bettered you a little bit, but not as much as track did. So then I switched over to track, and I ran the open one, the 4x1, and then I threw shot and disc my junior year. Did decent with that, and then senior year, it was like, all right, throwing really didn't do much for me. Let's just focus on my speed from there. So
4x1, 100. I remember you being like the fastest. He was like the fastest big guy I've probably ever seen in my entire life. Like, you go to every meet, Dalton's about a foot taller than everybody, probably 100 pounds more than everyone, and he was just cooking all of them, man. And it was probably the most bizarre thing I ever watched. And our senior year district track meet, we had a football camp before we even went to that, and we showed up and threw, dude. We were beat. Like, we were beat that day. And I remember I don't know, we were always doing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there a specific reason your family wanted you to move to Ben Logan, or why Ben Logan was a spot for you guys?
Well, where we lived at, we were in Ben Logan School District, but we opened enrolled to Ridgemont because that's where my parents went.
Okay.
So, the transition was extremely easy. I didn't have to sit out a year of sports or anything like that. And then it was just, we still knew some families and stuff. And there was actually 5 families from Ridgemont that transferred over the same year.
Oh, wow.
We all kind of got together and we're like, all right, let's make this switch over. Like, let's go do something. So we switched over.
The same year you went, Zach went, and then I'm pretty sure some Darian. Oh, the Brickers, and then Dougie transferred with us. There was so many. Like, there was just a wave of Ridgemont kids, and
well, it seemed like you guys made the right decision.
Oh yeah, 100% did.
Is there that or Kenton?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Not Kenton.
It sounds like your dad was pretty, just kind of wanted to make sure that everything was set for you. Pretty hard on you. So how did that transition? You talked about Pee-wee days. How did that kind of continue throughout your high school and college days?
So my dad he never played football.
Okay.
So my grandma was like, hey, they didn't have a lot of money growing up. So it was like, you can play 2 sports, but you need to work some part of your year. So he was really good at basketball, and he was a catcher in baseball. So he's like, I guess I'm going to have to work in the fall. So he really never played football, but he always wanted his son to play. Okay. And so then he was by far to this day the hardest coach I've ever had. Yeah. And he never once coached me once. It was, back in middle school when you rode home with your parents, it's like, awesome. You had 3 tackles and 3 touchdowns, but that's not good enough. You know what I mean? That one play where you got sacked or where you got tackled behind the line, like, what are you doing? So when it came to like the coachability, like, there was nothing a coach couldn't say to me that my dad already said, or 10 times worse than my dad said. college football, like that's a whole different like beast when it comes to high school. Like, I mean, that's their job, that's their career, and like it's majority of the time like the high school football coaches, you know, their parents. And so then the parents have a lot of say in things. And then when it came to college ball, I mean, we had some ruthless coaches, but I mean, it didn't faze me.
Mm-hmm.
Are you thankful that your dad was that hard on you growing up?
Yeah, absolutely. It helped me so much with my like athletic career. Yeah. Because like I said, it was just, coach got on you. I didn't get discouraged. You know what I mean? You need to like, people always get down. It's like, oh, the coach is on me. The coach is on me because they want to make you better. Right. Mm-hmm. And you need to be coachable. You need to take that in your ear and not let it fall out the other side.
So you talk about like, you talk about your dad and how he was a huge impact on you. Is there any other specific people that you kind of want to give a shout out and just let them know that you appreciate them and that, you know, really have helped you throughout the years in your athletic career?
I mean, I definitely think Coach Fay helped me out a lot. I mean, when we sat down and made that like business decision, we're like, hey, we need to think about this college football thing. Yeah. And so he kind of lined up some camps with us and kind of recommended some camps for us to do. And I mean, I definitely appreciate everything he done for me through my high school career.
Mm-hmm. So then, you know, you talked about Coach Fay, your dad. Talk about some of the teammates that you've had and some of like the upperclassmen that you kind of, you know, looked up to and that have really helped you out as well.
Yeah, I definitely think like your older brother, Austin Van Bus, Reese Wilcoxon, those dudes. I mean, I remember like 8th grade and like freshman year, I was like, man, like those guys, they're beasts. Like, I'm never gonna look like them. Yeah. And then like they just took me underneath their wing, and that's what the culture you need in every sport and every team. You need those seniors to take in those younger guys, because at the end of the day, that's your future. Yeah. So I mean, at the end, you don't want to. I mean, sometimes it's like, man, like this. It gets annoying when they're pushing around 315 and I'm pushing around 225. Yeah, pushing around 225, and we got to switch plates, you know, every other set. But eventually, you know, I made the jump, and then I reversed roles, and that was me my senior year.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
Cole, what position did your brother play?
Defensive line. He was a defensive line. He was the same exact position as Rockhold. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he was a defensive end and offensive tackle. Mm-hmm. So like him, it was crazy because they all experienced the same thing. So their freshman year, they were all tiny guys, and then, you know, Saul Boysel and some of those other guys took them under their wing, and they blew up and figured everything out, and it just kind of was a repetitive cycle. But I mean, it really worked out, man. I mean, and my brother has 8 toes, by the way. So, like, he was really injury prone. Like, he just got hurt all the time. Tore his ACL like twice. Dang. And then chopped his toes off in a lawnmower accident right before senior year.
What?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was bad. It's like my sophomore year going into there. We played, it was called like sumo circle.
Oh, gosh.
Where it was just a circle, 2 dudes went in it, you had to push the other guy out. Well, I was like the up and coming, and so then they're like, all right, because I thought I was just going to be behind his brother, you know. I'm fine with playing second string my sophomore year, blah, blah, blah. And then me and him went at it, and it was kind of a dog fight, and then unfortunately he twisted his knee wrong during that, and that's when he tore one of his ACLs. Oh, no. And then he, you know, we sucked it up, and then he went and practiced on it, and then he took like an organ step, which he just basically took an outside zone step and just absolutely shattered it.
Done. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is like, my brother didn't play football. Like, in like his sophomore year, he completely sat out, and he said that was the biggest like mistake of his life. And
like he just decided not to play, or got hurt and didn't.
He just decided not to do it. Like freshman year, he started under Coach Cotner when he was there, who's now their Urbana head coach.
Oh, okay.
And that's when they ran the triple option, had like the wing on their helmets, and they played like he was playing as a freshman, but was getting absolutely just plummeled, dude. Like was getting beat up all the time. I know the first game they played like Cincinnati Summit Country Day that year. And they had 2 guys that were ranked on the ESPN Top 100 and were literally just beating the piss out of them, man. Like just dogging on them. And so he quit. Sophomore year, he's like, I'm not doing this. And came back junior year and played, had a great year. And then immediately track season comes, breaks his foot or something along the lines of that, tears his ACL, and then it just just fell apart after.
Jeez, man, that's
But
a struggle.
to this day, I swear that he's probably one of like the best coaches I've had growing up. I
Yeah.
mean, I was stubborn, I was annoying, and I didn't listen to him too much. But
Right.
I mean, as far as being pushed and idolizing and kind of following behind somebody, him and his guys were always the people that I always kind of aspired to be and looked up to. So
That's awesome.
And even with his brother getting like injury prone and everything, I mean, he never missed a practice.
Never.
Awesome.
Even if he was out, he was still there on the sidelines.
Good.
And he was still. I mean, he coached me. I guess his senior year, my sophomore year. I mean, he was always pulling me off to the side and was like, "Hey, you know what I mean? Work on this, work on that." So like, he was a very good team player.
That's the type of guys you need, man.
100%.
So I got a question for the both of you guys, because Findlay and then Heidelberg.
Yep.
So you got 2 guys on the Ben Logan squad, senior year, right? How does that look like then? What does that season look like for you guys?
You want to take this one?
Is it as good as it sounds, or what happens there?
So
Because you basically got 2 defensive college guys on the line then, right?
yeah, we did. So I mean, he was our nose tackle. We played a 3-5.
Okay.
So he was our nose tackle. I was one of our DNs, and then we had our buddy Cole Jones, which is basically he's kind of built like me. He was our other.
Wasn't
end.
he the quarterback though?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But he played DN.
We went from Ben Logan, so we played both ways.
Yeah.
No, I know the both
Yeah.
ways, but
Yep.
quarterback to DN is not really.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, we
He
did.
went to not getting hit to laying the hit.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's
Bizarre, but,
yeah,
you know.
that's the culture we had. But no, I mean, when it came, we had a rough senior year. I mean, we had a decent defense. You know, we made some plays. We locked down that middle, but then it was also just our offense. We never got anything rolling. I mean, it was like we switched to, like we said, we talked about the triple option. So our freshman year, we still did the triple a little bit, and then our sophomore year, we finally made like a full-on 180 to the spread.
Oh wow.
That's when we went to the state playoffs, because no one in this conference really saw an offense like that. And like, we did the muddle huddle. No one could stop the muddle huddle.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean,
I hate that.
everybody hates it, but you only got to get 1 out of 2. You know what I mean? 2-point conversion. Yeah, you missed the field goal. Well, then you try to kick another one. Now you're down 2. So I mean, if you got to get 1 of the 2 right.
Do you remember the reason why we never kicked field goals?
I don't know, because we didn't have a kicker.
We had Wheeler the weapon.
Yeah, he was.
So we had this kicker on our team at the time. His name was Ethan Wheeler, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure like the reason why we started calling him Wheeler the weapon was because he wore a shirt that said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He nicknamed himself.
And he always had these soccer cleats on, and he had like socks that were up to his kneecaps. And I'll always remember that because that was hilarious. And then, you know, like that year we had a lot of hilarious people on that team. You think of like Michael Elizondo and, you know, there's a lot of character there. And like that's when I think I started really, really, really enjoying football. I think that was like my peak.
So what was that record at the end of the year then?
So
Which one?
Senior year.
Senior year, we went 2-8.
Oh, well,
So
that's not what I expected.
no,
Yeah, exactly. So we started off week 1. We played New Bremen. They were in the MAC school.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah.
think we only lost to them by like 14. But then,
wow,
Like, I mean,
okay.
it was a close game, but coming down to like the end of coming down to like the start of the 4th quarter, you could see some of our dudes shut down. They're just kind of like, oh man, you know what I mean? Like, nah, like we're, you know, it's a 2-possession ball game,
Yeah,
guys. Like,
yeah.
we're still in this. Like, we had, like our running back, he was an absolute dog, but he had terrible like mental capacity. And so then we had there was like 5 minutes left in the game, and like offense ran out and he didn't go out. Like, he didn't run out there on the field. He's like, nah, I'm done. He's like, we lost. Why am I going to play? It's like, nah. And so then the coach was like, all right, fine. So they suspended him for week 2 against West Liberty. And
we thought we turned around there.
Wait,
Yeah.
is that what's his name? Who was your running back's name?
Trent Berry.
Oh, okay. Who am I thinking of? The
Stoner.
guy Stoner.
Stoner wouldn't have been there until. Well, he was there our senior year, but he just didn't really get to play. I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
But like that year, man, we had so much talent.
Yeah.
We had so much talent on that team, but for some reason, like as far as being disciplined and like having good team chemistry, we just like did not
We couldn't put it together.
at all, dude.
But yeah, West
At
Liberty.
all.
And then week 2, the coach came was like, hey, you're starting running back.
Started playing running back.
Yeah, to me, I was like, all right, let's do it. And so that game, I had 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions. We were able to win that ball game by a safety that B-Bart was able to clinch for us. I mean, it came down. It was right at the nail biter. We had him backed up on there. It was a fluke snap over his head. And then B-Bart was able to sneak in that A-gap and get the guy pinned down to win the game by 1.
Wow. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I think about like the celebration after that game too.
Yeah.
Like everybody was storming the field. We planted the flag, our Ben Logan flag on their field.
Wait, what week was this then? You said
that was week 2. And then week 3 we played USV, which we all know how they are. So it was a barn burner for them. Then we're like, all right, we're sitting 2-1. Like, it's all right. Let's run it from here. And then just went.
Well, I don't know if you like. I remember some things like Tecumseh, when we played Tecumseh.
Yeah.
Well, you were out because you broke your foot, I think, at the time.
Oh, yeah, I fractured my foot.
So he fractured his foot. So we're down another defensive lineman and like a stud on offense. Well, we're beating Tecumseh, and Ben Witten takes a fumble recovery all the way back to the house. And right when Ben's crossing the touchdown line, our buddy Steele Boysel just comes out of nowhere and just clocks some kid for no reason. Like that
like 50 yards behind.
Constantly. It constantly was like that. Like we were playing Indian Lake. We're hanging in the game with them. Probably should have won that year. Mm-hmm. And like Joel and Ben couldn't figure out the coverage. And so they were blowing coverages. And it was just hard. Like it was hard to see because we just had so much talent, but just could never put it together.
Didn't Ben go to college too to play ball or no?
Yeah, he went to Hocking College for 2 years.
And then what's his name? Steele
Boysel.
He's wrestling right now, right?
Yeah, he wrestled up at UF.
Jeez, it sounds like you're right, man. It sounds like all these dudes went to college to go play ball, and then you guys just couldn't.
Yeah, we couldn't click.
That's really upsetting.
It was just a bunch of like we were just brainless idiots that just went.
Yeah, it was, and like one of my college football coaches it was details. Pay attention to the little details and do the little things right. I think our senior year we did not do the little things right at all.
Never.
And it shows. You get exposed when you don't do little things. I mean, the football, everyone says it's a game of inches.
Yeah.
So every little detail matters. And I think that's where we just got sidetracked and we didn't take that to our advantage, and we just got absolutely exposed our senior year.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then that takes us into after West Liberty, Dalton stayed the night at my house, and we went to Heidelberg that next day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To visit?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So me and him would tag along sometimes on visitations and stuff. And Ben, we had 2 days I think that you could just call off school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our other buddy Ben. Me and him would find just colleges that we wanted to go visit, and we would just go and do it for fun because we wanted that day off. But yeah, I remember it was 4:00 in the morning, right after we played West Liberty. I hear Dalton on the ground, grabbing his leg, dude. He gets the Charlie horse at 4 a.m. We have to be up by 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
and we're headed towards Tiffin, and I remember getting a phone call from Coach Donaldson at the time, and he was like, hey, we're pushing, our kickoff time got pushed back a little bit because of homecoming festivities. We're postponing this. So me and Dalton actually were all the way in Kent at the time, and we turned all the way back around, went to the JV football game, and then left the JV football game, and then went to Heidelberg that night. Mm-hmm. And, dude, it was stuff like that. It was a great time.
Yeah, and I knew. So we went on that visit. I was always looking at D2 schools.
Yeah.
And then people were like, "Hey, will you go on me to Heidelberg?" I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And that whole entire visit, we went there. This dude was smiling ear to ear.
That's awesome.
He loved everything about that place.
Yeah.
And we're standing there on the sideline, watching the game. He's like, "Dude, I think I'm going here." He's like, "Yeah, this is definitely it." And I was like, "Dude, this is your school." For sure.
Yeah.
Just the way, he loved everything about it. And, me just kind of sitting back. I mean, I was still in, the moment, but, just sitting back, kind of, letting the coaches talk to him.
Okay,
and, giving him, kind of, the spotlight and everything.
That's awesome, yeah.
And it was just this is it for you, B-Bart.
It was cool, though, because, Dalton was right down the road. Dalton, Steele were right down the road. I mean, we didn't really get to hang out or do anything because we were always busy, but knowing that your friends were right down the road,
right,
and they were around, and I would go to Findlay to go get Chick-fil-A or Texas Roadhouse or all this stuff, and they were right down the road. So it just made it it was nice because it almost felt like it was full circle. But yeah, it was a great time.
Since we're talking about college now, can you just walk us through what your recruitment process was like? Just kind of get into detail about that.
Yeah, so definitely if I'd have to tell all the college, all the high school athletes out there, enjoy that process.
Right.
So when it comes to the recruiting process, every college football coach tells you everything you want to hear. Mm-hmm. You're in high school. It's man, I love your hands. You work hands so well. As soon as that first day at camp, they're like, dude, your hands suck. Mm-hmm. But they hype you up during the whole entire thing, and they treat you like a king when you go there on campus and everything. And it was such a good time to just actually get praise for everything that you do. But it was really fun when it came to me choosing a school. University of Findlay, UF, the coach Reb was my recruiting coach. He was in Ben Logan once a week, showing me love. Even if he would just stop in, just hey, what's up, Rock? How you doing, man? Everything's going good? Yeah, everything's good. He would text me every single day an inspiring quote during the recruiting process. Wow. So they 100% showed me the most love out of everybody. Right. Tiffin, I was thinking about going to Tiffin. I had a home visit. Their head coach and the D-line coach was in my mom's house. They did an official offer and everything. And I was just UF showed me the most love. And it was fun, going around the different colleges and seeing everything. But definitely I 100% would choose Findlay all over again, because the culture Findlay has is we don't have the nicest stuff. We don't have the most money. You know what I mean? We don't have an indoor facility like Ashland and Tiffin does, but we got dudes that are willing to work. You know what I mean? I love being an underdog. So we were there's a bunch of quotes out there that the Tiffin coaches and Ashland coaches called us a JV program. Well, they used to call us a JV program, and junior year we had a ring. So JV program winning a ring. That's I'll take that all day long. But
I think about the quality and the culture of places, and whenever I think of top tier GMAC schools, I always think of Findlay and Ashland. I really do. I remember Ashland had because I was gonna throw too in college when I made that decision to go to Heidelberg and decided not to do it, and I thought of Ashland was a really nice place. I think Ashland was a very nice place.
Beautiful.
Tiffin. I remember going to camps there and doing that stuff, and outside of their indoor facility, I didn't because remember they asked us if we wanted to go take a campus tour after and we just didn't do it. Yeah, it was just it just wasn't very, just wasn't very nice. So I was definitely cool with going to Heidelberg, because I think the Heidelberg side was, definitely where it was at.
Yeah.
Would you say a big part of you choosing Findlay was because of that coach just showing all that support and love for you?
It did. And then when I went to campus for my overnight visit and then my official visit, all the dudes there, they're just like me. They're a bunch of country boys that want to play some college ball. There's my three roommates that I lived with for 2 years. The one got a hunting cabin down in the hills of Ohio. We went down there every year for a hunting trip. Yeah. And a bunch of the other guys on the team, we went fishing, we went turkey hunting, we shot skeet. We did everything. There was just a bunch of country boys willing to put in some work. And when it was time to clock in 9 to 5 during football, and then when we had some free time or whatever, we were out in the woods.
Awesome.
And that's the perfect thing, because when you go to school, you get to pave your own way, and I think that that's the biggest thing that I learned is you go to it. It's pretty intimidating, I feel because you go there, nobody knows you, and you really have to come out of your shell and just start to be yourself, go out and make connections, and that's why I think football is a special thing, because you're a part of something bigger than yourself, and you're around people constantly to where you can form those friendships. And that kind of takes me into our next question. We talked about our upbringing, playing ball together in high school. Talk to me about your first year at Findlay, if it was intimidating to you or not, and some of the plans that you had for yourself originally when you first got there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Going in my freshman year, everyone that plays D2 football and college football, they were big man on campus coming out of high school. Right. You know what I mean? Everyone that played there, everyone was all conference. Well, when you hit college, that don't mean nothing anymore. And I think a lot of people struggle, and college athletes struggle, is when you go from top dog to the bottom man on the totem pole. At Findlay and at every college, no one cares what you did in high school. They don't. Because, I mean, this is a brand new 4 years. So it kind of, I got a big, like, reality check. And I remember calling my girlfriend at the time, fiance now, but calling her and was like, I don't think this is it. Like, I really don't think I can do this. I mean, it sucked. Like, that first camp, first thing we had to do, our first wake-up call was 6:30 in the morning. And we had stuff from 6:30 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks.
Gosh, okay.
I mean, it was bad. I mean, I was like, oh, this ain't it. And then the D-line coach had a lot of faith in me too. Like coming in, I was at second string 3-tech. Well, I didn't know any of the plays or anything. So like the first couple practices, they threw me in there and I just got absolutely swallowed up because those dudes were no joke.
Yeah.
Like at the time I was only bench pressing like 225 8 times. I was only squatting like 365. Like I was just little man, and I didn't know how fast college football plays. It plays so much quicker. So they sat down, and then I kind of fell down into the depth chart and everything. They tried me at tight end for 2 weeks, and I was like, no, I was not a fan of tight end. I wanted to be a D-line dog.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to be a D-line. So I talked to the head coach. I said, hey, I'm fine redshirting, but I want to be a D-lineman. I want to be a D-line dog. He's like, all right. So I redshirted my freshman year, which I think that was one of the best things for me because I was able to make that slow transition into college, figure out that college life. And then I was able to finally figure out, University of Findlay football, figure out how everything worked, figure out the culture, make those connections with all the players, and then just kind of develop. It was 100% because in high school, I mean, me and B. Bart know we never were taught like hips and hands and all this little things. Like if I knew what I knew now, oh my gosh, man, it's unreal.
We might actually would have flipped that 2 and 8 just because we knew something.
I mean, and it was just I was finally able to learn everything for my freshman year, and then going into sophomore year. Since I didn't play my freshman year at redshirt, I was able to, just strive, and I just made that jump, and I was able to start going because we had that COVID. So I was there for summer workouts, and then going into the fall, I was ready to roll. Like, I was feeling the strongest, the healthiest I've ever been, and then we got sent home, and then they were talking about having a spring season, and then switched around and started 3-tech that spring season, and then I started, every game since that spring season, but I was 100% ready going into my sophomore year.
The GMAC championship that year was actually at Tiffin University.
Yeah.
Or they play on Calvert's Field. But I ended up watching that game, and it was crazy because I was still in football season in the spring, but for some reason, like it always worked out to where I could catch a Findlay game. Okay. So I watched that GMAC championship, and I'm pretty sure that's the year you guys won, right?
No, spring season we did not.
Okay. Tiffin won spring season.
Yes.
And the following week was when we played in our OAC championship against Mount Union. Well, we all know how it went. But, no, another question I had because you're here today. There's 2 people that actually just went to the NFL from Findlay. I know one's Big Mike. Is what they call him. Yep. Offensive tackle, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So that means you probably would have had to go up against him a couple times.
Yeah, I did.
How'd that go?
So, first 2 years, like my sophomore and junior year, he won like 98% of the reps. And then my senior year, I was able to really figure it out. Yeah. And he's not as big. So I think he's like 6'7", maybe about 300, 305. So he's not very big, but he's an athlete. We would hoop like on the hoop in the wintertime. That dude would go up and 2-hand slam it on you. He was a freak. So when it came to, of course, we did one-on-ones like every day. And when it came to like run blocks, like base blocks, I could stick him. Like I would hold my own and just absolutely like lock him down. Yeah. And then when it came to like third down and long, he was such an athlete, and he had the length on me. I barely won any third and longs. Sometimes I'd sneak in a long arm here or there and get him like off balance, but he is very good when it comes to pass sets. His hands, he teases you. His placement's perfect. When he punches, he throws a punch now. You feel his hands. But
Where did he go? Do you know?
he went sixth round to the Seattle Seahawks.
So he got drafted.
He got drafted.
Oh, wow.
And then at the end of the draft, we had a tight end. He was like a preferred free agent or priority free agent.
Yep.
And then he signed with the Ravens.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, Findlay's had some NFL success here.
And then
recently,
So we have a tight end that got drafted last year.
Yeah.
2 years ago to the Colts.
She's still with him?
Yeah, he's still with them.
Imagine you being one of those tight ends.
Yeah.
You want a dog, man.
Yeah. Dog life.
I mean, it's crazy to think. Like, it's such a small world. You go and play ball with these guys, and now they're going to make the professional jump. Like Mount Union, Wayne Ruby, he's a wide receiver there, just got picked up by the Jaguars. Which, honestly, I'm pretty sure that my freshman year, he was a junior. So, it happened, but it's all good, man.
Yeah.
It's all good.
That's how it is, like, with Ferris State. I mean, it's like, dude, haven't you been here for, like, a decade? But
You talked about how your freshman year you wanted to almost, like you said, this wasn't it. Was there another time during that whole football career at Findlay that, that came into your head again?
no. I mean, it was just like that freshman year going through that camp and everything. And once camp got over with, then it was kind of like, okay, now we can finally, relax and actually do something besides live, eat, and sleep football. And then I was finally able to, build those relationships with some buddies. And then you can finally actually get into it. But I mean, after that, I never once had a regret or anything. And that's what she said. My fiance, she's always like, just stick it out. Just stick it out. Like, just stick it out. I was like, all right, and I did. I mean, I'm so glad I did after that. Never had a thought about it. Loved everything about it.
I feel like everybody's got that moment where they're like, this is my place, and I'm sticking with it. When was that for you?
I think it was really probably that sophomore year, kind of halfway through that spring season. You know what I mean? I was finally able to see what I was able to play in a college football game. And see what that life was like and everything, and it was like, yeah, this is pretty sweet. And you get that connection with those D-line dogs. That, I mean, that group, your position group, you're so tight with them because you're with them every single day. Yeah. I mean, every day, Monday through Sunday, you're with them.
And tradition-wise, like, talk about some of the Findlay tradition that you kind of got to experience while you were there.
I think when it came to, it meant a lot to be a D-line dog. Like it was a lot. There was always like wide receivers and like O linemen that are like they would like go up to our D-line coaches like, hey, I want to play D-line. I want to play D-line. I want to be a D-line dog. Yeah. It's like, nah, this ain't for you. we used to call them pups. It's like it's not for you, pup. You know what I mean? But it was just that culture. It meant a lot, and you carried a lot of swagger with that. You walk into a bar with 4 D linemen, it's like, oh snap, those are some big dudes. Because you think about it, I mean, we're all 230 to 260, 275. Yeah, we're all over 6 foot. We work hands every single day. We have a 330-pound lineman trying to rip our heads off, and we stop them in their tracks. So I mean, it's a lot to be a D lineman.
There's a lot of swag with that. For
there
sure.
is.
We had a coach come in my senior year, and you mentioned the D-line dog, and it makes me think of my senior coach, Coach Charlie. He called us the Misfits. So we wore like Heidelberg, like Berg DL, and then it was like a Misfit symbol, like the punk rock band, the Misfits. Super big into that. I remember he used to wear like this sombrero. Like he had like this sombrero hat that he used to wear, and we used to call him Kung Fu Panda. He was just like a big guy, and he was like super big on feet. Like Dalton said, like in high school, if we would have known the stuff that we do now, I feel like it would have been like a night and day, because I went, and the coach that I had my freshman, sophomore, and junior year, he's now with the Colts. He's a Tony Dungy diversity coach there, a defensive line assistant there. Was at Kentucky for a couple years, and his big thing was always hips, hands, feet. Hips, hands, feet. Yes, hips, sir. Hands, feet. And we used to spend probably a good hour just throwing our hips and hitting the sled. And dude, I swear by that stuff now. I think that like the way that I progressed, and even you probably can attest to that, like hips, hands, and feet are so big of a deal, and I don't think it was emphasized enough when we were playing ball in school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like when I said about like the little details, like we used to get down in our stance, and I would look at the offensive lineman knuckles to see if they're white or if they're red. Because basically, if they're white, when you put pressure on them, they turn white. So that means they're coming at you. And then when they relieve pressure, then they turn red because you got blood to them. So it's like, oh, they might be pulling, or we might have a pass set coming up.
What a guy.
It's that little details.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you can, like, when it come down to, like, their feet, too, you have to see, like, if their toes were digging in really hard, that means they're coming at you. Or if they're sitting back on their heels and you can see a little bit turf underneath their toes, they might be doing a pass set.
Oh,
Like stuff like that. Is
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that's the little things that wins football games in college.
So talking about college again, obviously you graduated. I want to know, was it hard to balance that lifestyle with football and school? Or what did that look like for you specifically? How did you handle that?
Yes and no. My first couple years was tough. I used to procrastinate really bad because majority of the time, B-Bart knows, all of our assignments are due at 11:59 on Sunday.
Okay.
Well, we always did stuff on Sundays, and so then, like our Sunday, we had to, watch film, meet, lift. We had pool workout, and then we had to run and stuff, and then we men again. So our day wasn't over on Sunday till about 8 o'clock. Well, we had 3 hours and 59 minutes to get a lot of homework done. Yeah. So that time you eat supper, and then it's like, all right, it's time to grind. So that set me back a little bit. Should have never done that. And then my junior and senior year, I started to stop procrastinating, trying to get my assignments knocked out throughout the week, and then Sundays I can actually enjoy it. So I graduated somehow miraculously with cum laude honors in college. I graduated high school with a 2.58.
Oh man.
I graduated 2.58, and I turned around and college, I finally figured out, and graduated with a 3.6.
Good, awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
So, kind of rewind a little bit. You mentioned COVID, that COVID spring season. You mentioned COVID, and talk to me about isolation and your COVID year and how you prepared for football without being in football and with your team.
Yeah. So during that COVID year, I was still living on campus because at Findlay, got to live on campus for 2 years. Mm-hmm. So we all got kicked out of the dorms, and then we had to go back home. Well, I went back home and I messaged Coach Fay and was like, "Hey, is there any chance I could get some weights or something?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So I went to the weight room, got some of the old barbells and then some weights and stuff. And in my backyard at my dad's house in town, I took sawhorses and stacked them up and took some cement bricks and put them underneath there, and I had a squat rack. And across the street, there was a grass field that I was able to do some cones and D-line work. And then once it got cold and there was snow on the ground, then our buddy Steele Boysel, he had a garage gym that we were able to get into, and it was better being outside. It was better than outside in the snow. Mm-hmm. So he had a decent little squat rack. I think the most weight we had was 265 maybe.
Yeah,
we definitely
315. I think.
Did we have 315?
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we had
dumbbells got cut at 30.
Yeah. There was So there was a corner of that garage that leaked really bad. Anytime it rained, there was puddles that we had to dry up.
Maneuver around. Yeah.
And then there was no insulation in there, so it was freezing, and we always had to turn on the heater. Well, sometimes the heater worked, sometimes it didn't.
It'd smoke out the garage sometimes.
Yeah.
You're talking about the diesel heater, right?
Yeah.
My gosh, dude. It'd smoke up the garage or wouldn't work or would shoot in air every now and again. And it was always hilarious too because we'd have Steele start the heater before we got there. And we'd get there, and if it was pouring out or there's too much snow, you'd see this big pool of just water sitting there. So Steele went and got used up shingles and had us try to shingle this roof to try to make it work out.
Yeah.
And it still leaks to this day. And I'm pretty sure that gym might be in shambles now, to be honest. But, it was always fun because me and Dalton were welcome there whenever, and Steele was awesome for that. But whenever we would ask Steele to work out with us, you'd be there for 5 hours. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, he'd sit there and type out his lift, text any girls he was talking to, and 5 hours later he'd still be like, dude, I still got like 6 workouts left. And that's kind of how it went wintertime.
Yeah.
What was that transition going back into school again?
So it was kind of nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like staying with my parents and stuff, but like I enjoyed living up at Findlay because I'm away from the parents. All my like friends at the moment were up there, so it's just a good time. I mean, we were allowed to kind of do what we wanted. If we, walked out of the dorm at 10 o'clock at night, I don't have someone questioning me like, where are you going? We could do whatever we really wanted to. And so when that came around, we all had to wear masks, and like when it came to like lifting, we had to wear masks in the weight room. So I mean, it was very challenging when you're trying to, push 315, and our strength coach really focused on like filling your abdomen like with air. So you're trying to like take a big breath of air where you can't because you got a mask on your face. So that kind of sucked. And then like running, we had to like stay, 6 feet apart. And then every week we had to get tested. So we always got to shove crap up our nose. And it was definitely a hard time in college. But then we got an extra year of eligibility, which I didn't take it. But we got the extra year eligibility. There was a lot of people that dropped out during COVID just because it was kind of the easy thing to do, because no one thought that society was going to go back to normal.
Right.
So I was telling Irv before we decided to bring you in here about, when you stopped playing baseball and then went to track. And I was telling him how impressed like everybody would talk about your speed. I know that you used the 100-meter and 4x1 to try to improve your 40 time too. Maybe tell us about what's some things you've heard running the 100-meter or running sprints and track.
Yeah. So, I used to, we're sitting there like about to get ready. We're in our lanes and stuff, just trying to get loose. All these dudes are like looking at me and like laughing, just like, oh, okay, dude. Like, all right. It's like, let's do it.
Is it just because you were just so much bigger?
Oh, yeah. I was just massive.
Yeah.
And that was this dude that people looked at and was like, you're about to run the open one? It's like, yeah, let's do it. Watch. So coming out of the blocks, of course, I was the last one out of the blocks because I got to get all this mass moving. I was the last one out of the blocks, but once I was able to get up and really stride out is when I was able to start passing dudes. My senior year at CBC's, I got second. I lost to a chest throw. So, I was able to compete, but every meet, people would always be like, This guy. Like, nah, not a chance.
No. And dude, outside of football, you talk about track and field, and that was always a great time. Like,
it was.
The end of the meet, they have the 4x4 relay, and we had a buddy on our team. His name was George Kern, and he used to carry a speaker and play Tokyo Drift. And we'd run around the field like yelling at all the other runners, trying to get our guys to speed up. And we would just be listening to Tokyo Drift every single. Like, it was like a tradition at that point.
Yeah, that's the best my body's ever felt is during senior track season, because you're running. So like all your oxygen levels and your adrenaline and your lungs are so healthy. And then like you stretch all the time, so you feel loose, you feel good. None of my joints hurt really. It was, my body felt the greatest during that time of the year.
Would you recommend any young football players now to do track during the spring? Or what would you feel about that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I love playing baseball. I love baseball more than track, but I had to make a business decision. And track, just when it comes to speed, like working on like your block starts. That's just you're down in a 4-point stance. But it's just like you're playing D line. You're down there. And when it came to like our 40 times, it was just, it's the same, try to extend your hip all the way out to get your first couple steps. It truly does help you out when it comes to the fall.
And I want those younger athletes to understand that like, that's not just coming from a wide receiver or a running back. It's coming from a D lineman. So I think I hope a lot of people can take that in and just say, just because I'm a lineman doesn't mean I can't run track or I shouldn't run track. Instead of just like, going into shot or whatever. So I really hope people can take that in coming in from you.
Yeah.
So now we're going to transition out of like the athletic perspective. We know that football has done a lot for you. It's done a lot for me, and Irv at one point in his life, and I just want to know how has college football prepared you for what you're doing today?
I think sports, I mean, if you look at athletes like that are out in the workforce, they're definitely the ones that are thriving. Because, I mean, I'm in sales. So at the end of the day, sales is competitive. Like, I hate to lose. It just is what it is. If you don't hate to lose, then what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when it comes to, like, sales, yeah, we have, like, a leaderboard and stuff. And, I mean, I'm a team player, but at the end of the day, you want to see your name up there.
Yeah.
So you're striving. I mean, that's that competitiveness helps me. And, like, I hate losing sales to another, like, company. It's kind of like, and then you just look at it. What I do is, when a customer messaged me and was like, hey, I went with another company. Well, can I ask why? It's just like with football, you know what I mean? I took the wrong step there. Like, what I do wrong? You know what I mean? Why'd that guy get through? And so then I asked him, I said, you know what? Why'd you choose that? Oh, well, their price was a little bit lower, or they, their piece of equipment was just fit our benefits a little bit better. Okay, that's fine. You learn from your mistakes and you move on. That's exactly, football and sports taught me that.
I want to know a little bit, we moved on from past football, but like now looking back, I want to know what was like the biggest obstacle that you had to face or that you can remember about being a college athlete?
I definitely think it is respecting the process is one of the biggest like obstacle courses, is because like going into college, like you're bottom end on the totem pole. You are on ground zero, and it is hard to just keep doing what you're doing, stay on track, do all the things right, and then you'll eventually get to where you are. I mean, I never would have thought my freshman year that I was going to be who I was my senior year. So I was just like, oh, man. But it's just like you got to just stick it out, man. Respect the process. It's going to pay off if you do the right things.
Yeah. And, that kind of brings me into another point. Like, what are some, not words, but what are some, not words, but like staples and some like things that football has taught you that has kept you consistent and resilient in sales and also in your profession?
I think like the two biggest like statements that stick out is respect the process and do the little things right. It 100% will pay off in anything you do in life. If you do the little things right, you know what I mean? If you're at home and you spill something on the counter, you clean it up. Like when I walk through the dealership and I see like a stone laying on the ground, I pick it up and throw it outside. You do the little things right and everything will start falling in place for you.
Mm-hmm. We're almost out of time here, but one thing that you've mentioned so far was your fiance. Mm-hmm. And I want to know how important it has been for you just to keep someone around for a while now that just has constantly been pushing you, and how important it is to find that somebody, whether it is a girl or just a friend. How important is that person, to anyone just trying to keep it pushing?
Oh, 100%. It is. It's so hard to go through life by yourself. It 100% is. I mean, yeah, you got your parents there, but then like at the end of the day, you're still your parents. You feel like you can't fully open up to them. And so, I mean, yeah, when it comes to, college life, and you're not going to call, hey, Dad, I'm so hungover, what? I don't want to go to practice today. But, like, you can still do that with your fiance. Yeah. And then, like, you need someone in your corner and continue, like, pushing you. If I didn't have her, I don't know if I would have finished. If I would have, like, stuck it out, like, my sophomore, junior, and senior year. But she was always there and always supported me. And she's like, every decision you make, I got you. Like, I'm in your corner. I really think that people need to find that person in their life, even if it's your best friend. You know what I mean? Just be like, hey, bro, like, I don't know about this. Mm-hmm. You need someone to be like, nah, you got this. You need someone that can kind of like pat you on your back, like, you got this. Let's go.
So, side note, Dalton is getting married in 2 weeks to this lady, Allie Bros. We just want to give you a shout out here. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Allie. She's been Dalton's rock for how many years now?
May 19th will be 7 years.
He's not as much of a knucklehead anymore, but at one point in his life he was. So yeah. Shout out Allie. Congratulations to them too. And one last thing that I want to ask before we wrap this thing up is, we played a lot of sports together growing up, and I just want to know if there's any memories in sport that really stick out to you when it comes to us.
Oh, 100%. Number one that comes to mind, it was when Cole B. Boy, I don't know if it was it 5th grade when you...
7th.
7th grade, yeah. So we were both playing D-line at the time. He snuck through. I don't know how he did, but he snuck right through the line. He took the handoff from the quarterback, and he takes off. And back in the day, B-Bar was a chubby guy, and so he is running down through the field, but he's moving at like 3 miles an hour. It felt like, and I saw him get the ball, and I was like, "All right, let's do it." So he's running down the field. I'm blocking dudes. Like I think I probably blocked like 4 guys to help get him in the end zone. He gets in the end zone, and he's dying.
I go to the sideline right after that, and I remember this, right? And, I mean, Dalton's so hyped up for me. But I watched the film back, and it's like Dalton's sitting there, like, shuffling, like, trying to, like, get people not to get me. And, yeah, Dalton scored that touchdown. But anyways, long story short, I go over to the sideline. I'm sitting there just, Coach, I can't go in. He's like, what do you mean? You got to go back in. Like, we just scored. So right after that, I had to go back in. The rest of the game, I was worthless, man. Back in the day, like some of the memories that stick out to me, like completely not sports related, the squirrel that we had.
Yeah.
There was a squirrel that used to follow us around. We played Frisbee golf in the park. And we named him Peanut. And Peanut followed us back to Dalton's house and just hung out with us all night. And then the next day he was gone. But that's one incident that I think of, and another one is Dalton found this tape recorder when we were younger, and we started like freestyling with this tape recorder. Well, you know, years pass, like years. I'm talking like 4 or 5 years later. Dalton sends me a video. And he's playing this freestyle that our buddy Nolan did at the time, and he was like, today I woke up, I went to school. Yeah. And it was just like, dude, we just through the years, we did so many stupid things, but it was always a great time. And I think that sport really helped us bring that together too. So,
Dalton, I really appreciate you coming on, man. I thought your story was awesome, and I hope a lot of young athletes can take away from your story and just your experience with college football and high school. And just thank you for making the trip over here.
Yeah, appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah. So, I mean, stay tuned for more of the Huddle. We really want to thank Dalton today. And also, we want to give a shout out to Loco Bounce. Dalton works at Loco Bounce. He helps out there. And if you have anything to say about that business, we would love to hear it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we started last year, was our first year getting into business. My brother-in-law, he's like, I kind of want a side gig. And we got on Facebook Marketplace. We saw this lady was selling a trailer and 3 inflatables. And we're like, I mean, there ain't nothing around here like that. We're like, shoot, let's try it. So we tried it out last year. We had a really good year. And then now we're up to 6 units. And so we got a couple bounce houses. We got a 22-foot slide, 15-foot slide. We got an obstacle course. We got a wrecking ball. Wow. And so we, on the weekends, we both work, 9 to 5s through Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, we rent out inflatables. But, I mean, we enjoy it. It's fun to see all the kids play on it and have a good time. And, like, when we get there, they all run on it to try to hurry up and get a couple slides down it. And they're like, don't take it. Like, please don't take it. And we're like, all right, one more. You know what I mean? And then one more turns into, like, 10 more. But
yeah, I mean, shout out to Timmy. Shout out to Dalton. Shout out Loco Bounce. We are so glad that you got on here. I'm happy for you and Allie too. 2 weeks from now we'll be celebrating, having a good evening. Definitely not PG-13 evening, but a good evening. And we just want to thank you. Appreciate it, brother. And yeah, stay tuned for more of the Huddle.
Yeah.
Perfect. That was great, man.
Yes, sir.
What's up, everybody? This episode is sponsored by Loco Bounce. Loco Bounce is a bouncy house rental business that is local here in Bell Fountain, Ohio, and surrounding areas. Loco Bounce is founded by Timmy Arvin and also our lovely guest, Dalton Rockhold. And we just wanted to give a specific shout out to them today. They do anything from slides to bouncy houses to several other services. And if you need the party, they bring the party to you. If you need to get a hold of anybody at Loco Bounce for services, please call 937-210-7811.